Hey, this is Bethany, and today my face is mostly like bare. I have a little something I started on my eyebrows, but then I quit. But today I'm actually going to show you my mostly drugstore foundation routine. I know I haven't done any type of foundation routine or full review in a while, so I figured it's time. And I have plenty of pale people asking me what I use for foundation, so this is one of the main ones I do use. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so some days my work day can be up to 10 hours, if not longer, having to get there and come home, and I drive a long way. So the first thing I do is I spray my face with my old version of Urban Decay De-Slick setting spray. So I'm just gonna mist that all over my face. And if you're oily like me, you should probably invest in something like this. I know it helps at least a little bit. It doesn't cure miraculously the problem of being a grease ball, but every little bit helps. Sorry if you hear my cat. Okay, and then next I'm going to be putting on my Pixi Flawless and Poreless Primer. I've been using Benefit Poreless Professional, but I got this in a glam bag recently and I'm really liking it. And I only use just a tiny little bit, just about half the size of a pea. This is actually too much. I only need enough to really just put it in my T-zone areas and spread it out. So, sorry if you hear my cat in the background. He hears me talking, so he thinks we're talking, but it's really just me talking to you all. He's not part of the conversation. Shh. Hush, baby. Alright, so next I will be using the Revlon Colorstay combination to oily foundation in Ivory. Usually this wasn't really quite pale enough for me, but I've still been making it work. Not only that, I got just a little bit of sun. Mostly it added freckles, but it burned a bit like a couple weeks ago. So this has been working a little bit better for my skin color. So if you're a pale chick who's been struggling to find a drugstore foundation that's actually pale enough for you, this one might work. And if the texture isn't going quite right for you, be sure to choose the one that's either for oily or dry skin or whatnot. And also kind of experiment with brushes, because I finally found the perfect one. So what I usually do is take this and I just bop it on the back side of my hand until I get some product. And I don't want to get a crap ton because I don't like wasting it and then also having to wipe it off on a paper towel. I probably don't need any much more than that. But that's about how much I usually get out of it, because unfortunately they don't make this foundation with a pump. And they should. I'm telling you, Revlon, look into it. Alright, and this is my favorite brush as of lately. This is by Lancome, and it's some sort of face buffing brush. I think it's more intentionally to be used on cheeks or something like that, but it's flat topped, and I've been using it for all my foundation, a lot of the time my concealer too if I'm lazy, and it just works really well, and it makes the texture of my Colorstay foundation like virtually flawless, so I really like it. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of get into it a little bit with the edge of the brush so I don't pick up too much product. And I always start on the least favorite side of my face that's more broken out, and I'll just dot it along the side, and then I'll start swirling. When I have a little residue, I'll just put it up there on my lid just to get a little bit of coverage. Alright, and then I'll pick up a little bit more. I'll go to the other side of my face, dot a little bit, and then swirl. Put residue by the eye. I want to make sure once I thin it out, I work it down the neck a little bit. Then I dot a little bit on my nose, kind of in my T-zone area. And then I stroke it through. I mainly work on buffing it just around the jawline, and then everywhere else I do strokes. Alright, now that I'm kind of personifying Michael Jackson a little bit, then you know I'm ready for concealer. I've got my MAC concealer in NW15, and this is what I use on only acne spots. I don't use it under my eyes because the texture is really weird and I don't like the way it feels. And what I will do is I'll take my finger and I'll look for trouble areas that are still showing through after that foundation, and I'll dot there. I'll even dot on the sides of my nose because that's where I get some redness. And I'll dot on the corners of my mouth and my chin. If I see any other spots, I'll get them too, but it just all depends on how bad my skin is that day. Now, using the same awesome buffing brush from Lancome, I'll just blot that area until it blends seamlessly into the foundation. And then I'll use a little bit of residue as well and try to make my nose a little less red at the tip. And then sometimes, since I have a scar under my nose, I'll focus it there as well. Okay, so the next step in covering up my complexion is just my eyes. And drugstore wise, I always love using the Age Rewind Circle Eraser. Sometimes they're a peeve because they break internally towards the end of using them. But either way, I always keep going back to this, and I'm using the shade Fair. And I just like to cover all the way down to the cheekbone, and I don't use much product. I just click it once or twice. And I will use the same brush as I've used for everything else. And I just blot stroke outward. Alright, next, after all of that, we've got to set all this crud I got on my face. And I'm using the Revlon Colorstay Pressed Powder in Fair. And I will just use a big powder brush. I think this one's an e.l.f. complexion brush, but I switch back and forth depending on what I have clean. So I'll just run it around, tap, and then get my T-zone. And then after I'm finished with everything, even powder, I set it all with my Oil Control Makeup Setting Spray that we used in the beginning by Urban Decay, so I'll do a light mist. So while that's setting, I'm going to go ahead and finish my eyes and my eyebrows and my blush. It's probably going to be a look like what I've done before in another tutorial, so I will tag it below or put the link below of what I'm doing. Alright, so now that I have my finished foundation routine done, I put on my blush, I did a little bit of bronzer, and then I did my eyes and my brows, very important. That is my finished, mostly drugstore foundation routine. So I hope I answered some good questions for you all in terms of like what I use and why I use it. And mostly why I use stuff is, you know, texture, coverage, and is it pale enough? Is it pale enough is a very important question because almost nothing ever truly really is, and you just kind of make do. Anyways, if you all like this video and you want to see more types of routine videos, I'm slowly making my way through them, and if you have any requests, then leave them below, and I will talk to you guys later, and thank you for watching my video. Bye, buddies.